What's up, guys? Grab that coffee out. This is the AMZ Secret Show and your host, David Aladdin. I've built this show to jump past the basics and into the real Amazon core. I look to understand the person, their strategies, secrets, so that all of us can build leaner and better businesses. Today's sponsor is AMZ Secrets VIP, which is the platform of secrets, strategies, and tools, including the recently launched Product Hunter. AMZ Secrets guarantees at least a 2x in business revenue or your money back. And my dogs are here too. I've personally already 4x'd my business, and many others have too. Today, we've got a special guest on the show. His name is William Tjernlund, who's 25 and sells over millions yearly on Amazon. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Good, good. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I originally started selling online back in high school and kind of sold on and off throughout college. And then a few years ago, I teamed up with my brother and started selling full time. And since then, we've sold millions of dollars to and on Amazon. And then since then, I've done a bunch of different consulting, speaking gigs, and opened up a couple other Amazon accounts with different business partners for different reasons. So I got a bunch of different kind of Amazon things going right now.
Okay, let's go. I like to dig deep into like how this person got to where they're at, and kind of like the story behind that person. So before Amazon, what were you doing?
Just in college doing nothing. It's basically the whole story would be that my brother started selling online and sourcing from Alibaba and selling on eBay in 2003, 2004.
Okay.
And so I was 13, 14 at the time. And so even back then, I was seeing how possible it was to import products and sell them online for a profit. And so that planted the seed really early. And so I started off like just doing like retail arbitrage and stuff when I was like 16, 17, 18. And from there, I kind of got into, once I turned 18 and I could actually like do stuff legally finally, I started in college buying stuff from Alibaba and AliExpress and reselling it on Amazon. And I had the experience from that, plus my brother had already been doing it for like a decade at that point and had the capital and everything. And we decided when I graduated college we should really take this seriously and both kind of hunker down and do it full time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when things really took off, is when we both, instead of just having it as like kind of like little side projects, we took it seriously and tried to take it to the next level.
And does your brother do it currently too, still?
Yeah.
Cool. And are you guys still working as a team, or did you guys branch off and do your own thing?
We both have our own things. We both still work together doing, we have a couple businesses together doing Amazon stuff. So it's kind of both.
So, okay. So the reason why you didn't speed up the process was because you weren't old enough to
Yeah,
open a credit card.
yeah, basically I wasn't old enough. I was,
Jeez.
going
Yeah.
to college and all that kind of stuff, where just like I would get whatever my samples in, I would send them into Amazon, and then I would send out the orders like at the post office at my university of the ones I would sell on eBay. And so like I was selling like marijuana vaporizers
Uh-huh.
on Amazon and eBay, and I was selling like probably like 12 a day total.
Mm-hmm.
And like four would be on eBay and like eight would be on Amazon. And so it's like I'm doing fine, I'm reinvesting my cash, but at the same time, I'm not thinking it in the point of view of like, okay, how do I scale this? Do I need to get outside funding? How much money do I need to make to live off of this? What kind of margin do I have? All this kind of stuff. It was more like, oh, I can buy these for $7 and they're going for 70. Okay, well, I might as well buy some. It's like I'm not gonna lose money type of thing. And that's more the mentality I had. I had it more of an idea of like, how can I get some extra beer money, opposed to how do I scale this and build wealth over time. And that's
Yeah.
kind of how my mindset has like shifted over time. It's like, how do I actually build wealth and do this like professionally and do this in a way that's going to scale, not going to take up that much of my time, and going to take as least amount of my capital as possible, opposed to when I first started off, it's like, oh, this is way better than getting a normal job. Like, this is easy cash. Why I should just kind of do this here and there.
It's funny that you said that because in respect to earning cash to like pay for beer or whatever, when I was in college, that's how I got started into like all of the whole web and stuff. Like I taught myself coding and developing software and creating websites and doing all that stuff so I can. College is expensive. So, and that kind of like launched into all of this later down the road. But so I'm guessing you were able to buy lots of beer.
Yeah, well, I was doing like decent.
Yeah.
I didn't have like this like ginormous like six-figure company or anything like that, but I was like making like say a good like whatever like 75, $80 a day,
Hmm.
like pretty passively. And so it's like, yeah, that's pretty good money in college. Yeah, I wasn't like struggling or anything like that. And like I was fortunate enough too to have like my parents pay for my college. And so it's like I was, yeah, doing plenty good. I didn't have to ever worry about like getting that extra beer at the bar because I didn't have the money type of thing.
What was your strategies for scaling up? Were you completely putting all the money back into the business and then just finding huge multiplier products?
Yeah, basically it's in its simplest form, it's all about just cash flow. And so it's basically how much money, like what percentage are you going to have more than what you put in? So if you put $1 in, you have $1.30 back in your bank account 6 weeks later. And then, so what's that multiplier? And then how quickly can you get that multiplier to multiply? Can you flip your inventory 8 times a year? Can you do it 12 times a year? Or are you only doing it 3 times a year? And basically, if you just kind of follow that equation, and then you can get suppliers who will send you stuff up front where you don't have to pay for all of it up front, that can kind of get the pinwheel spinning a lot faster.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, you have to reinvest everything. And two, it's really helpful to find U.S. based suppliers in the beginning that will give you payment terms where you don't have to pay them for 60 days. Because in that way, you can overextend yourself because you know you're going to sell it within 60 days and get paid back by Amazon. And that way, you can scale a lot faster without having the actual capital up front.
It's interesting. I actually never heard someone start with a U.S. Based manufacturers in the sense just to get that 60 day delay. Uh, and is that something you do with all the U.S. manufacturers that you work
A
with?
lot of them just have it kind of built in because they're used to like mom and pop shops that actually like
Yeah.
don't pay them and stuff. Like they think it's a great
Huh?
thing, like you're ready to pay on time type of thing. It's so bizarre. Like
It's interesting.
there's a lot of like B2B businesses. You can go to any of them and say like, do you have like delinquent payments? And they'll have like a whole stack that goes back 10 years of random like suppliers that never paid them. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah,
like
I.
it's so ridiculous where it's so like when you've paid them on time, you're like one of their good customers. It's like what a crazy world we're living in.
I've. Have you ever? I don't know. Have you ever watched The Profit, that
Yeah.
TV show? Yeah, there's this one business. I think it was a meat company, and they had like 50 to 100 customers or clients that didn't pay them yet.
Yeah, that's very common.
Yeah, and it sounds like those are like similar to a lot of the way U.S. manufacturers do their work business.
Yeah, it's this really weird, antiquated, old school way, and it's like I guarantee all those delinquent payments too. They still have them on like paper receipts,
Yeah,
like some like spike in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like all just super old school kind of business stuff. And so yeah, it's not that hard to get it like that. And like another success my brother and I have had to like scale quickly without having to have crazy amount of capital is that you can get like a lot of some suppliers will give you like 90-day payment terms, and Amazon pays you in 60 days when you sell to Amazon. And so if you can set it up correctly, you can Amazon will place a $100,000 order from you, that they want to buy stuff from this vendor. You place the $80,000 order to replenish that order Amazon wants, and you don't have to pay for any of it up front because you're only buying inventory that's already bought from you from Amazon, if that makes sense. And so then you just basically make 20K
20K
and
in
you
a
never
second.
spend any of your own cash.
That's awesome. And the turnaround time is probably what, like a month? Because they pay you up front, right?
Well, Amazon pays you in 60 days.
Okay, so
So that's what I'm saying. If you
yeah,
can get it over 60 days, you get that gap where like you don't have to pay the supplier until Amazon pays you, so it's free money.
that's awesome. Sweet. That is tight. And I'm guessing that's something that you do a lot. Is that the vendor central?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's Vendor Central. So basically, yeah, it's more times than not the private label products I find are a result of something I'm wholesaling. And I see there's either a gap in the market that the wholesaler's not filling, or I see a wholesale product that's selling like crazy, and I know that it would cost a tenth the price if I private labeled it. And so if I can sell the name brand one and I can sell like the no name brand like generic knockoff one, and they're number one, number two for kind of a lower competition keyword, it gives the customer the perceived notion that they're shopping around, but really they're just buying from me one way or another.
What percentage are you mainly wholesale? What percentage
It's like
wholesale
50-50%.
and wholesale private label and retail arbor?
No retail art. I did that when I was like in high school and stuff. I
Okay.
don't have time for that crap anymore.
It is a lot of work. I don't even know how people do it.
It's like buying a job basically. It's not really like scalable. Like I've heard of very few people. There's another guy here in Minnesota, Ryan Grant, who's like doing it correctly, and he actually has like a staff of people sourcing for him doing retail arbitrage, and then he has like a warehouse where he like categorizes it and catalogs it and all that stuff. It's like that's a little different, but people are just running around the stores unless like you have no cash and you're just trying to start off. It kind of makes sense, but for the most part, I tell people just not even waste their time.
Yeah, I I don't know why people do it.
I think it's basically just because people have no money.
Yeah.
So you want to get into the Amazon game, but you have $350. So it's like that's where they start.
So you just work your way up. Yeah.
Where instead of ordering two samples for $350 from Alibaba.
I think some people enjoy it too. They like going shopping. And
Well, again,
just
that's what
buying
I'm
a
saying.
ton of stuff. Yeah.
They're like buying themselves a job more than anything. Where it's like this is a fun hobby I have, where it makes me an extra grand a month. I get to go out to the stores and get to pretend like I'm shopping like a crazy person. You know what I'm saying? And they get to kind of like get the endorphins of like shopping and buying stuff, but at the same time, it's like not a like destructive hobby.
Yeah. I'm gonna pivot slightly and let's talk about warehouses. Do you currently own a warehouse or lease one out?
No.
So
So what?
go ahead.
My brother has the biggest Amazon account now. I've left that one, and he rents out like a section of like my family owns a manufacturing company, and so he rents out a section of their warehouse. But my Amazon accounts are now set up basically where it's location independent, where I can go travel around. I've spent the majority of the year outside the country this year.
Cool.
And
Where'd you go?
so all over, from Asia to South America to Europe. So yeah, so my whole business is now set up where it's like kind of 4 hour work week style, more passive where I can travel and stuff. Where my brother now is still kind of focusing on the day to day managing warehouse workers, kind of trying to build the super account. I've more kind of put that on the back burner and kind of focus more on lifestyle business.
Very cool. And I I guess was your Asia trips business or is it just for pleasure?
Yeah, I spent the first couple months of the year in Argentina just to get out of the cold Minnesota winter.
Yeah.
And then from there, yeah, I spoke at a conference in Hong Kong, so I went there and then went to a couple trade shows there, and then took like that 2 hour train ride from Hong Kong to Guangzhou, where they have the Canton Fair, and then I spent like a week at the Canton Fair. And so like Asia was work related, and then I flew from China to Amsterdam, and
That's
then
awesome.
hung out in Europe for another month or so. So
How many if I may ask, how many products did you source from that one fair alone like
oh, it's still
in the
I
works?
don't know yet. It's kind of thing where like
Uh-huh.
they get as soon as the fair is over, it's you and 10,000 other people emailing them saying, "Hey, I was interested in your product," and
Interesting.
then they all have to get back to you and blah blah blah. So it's like it's just gonna be a bit before I actually know like what products I'm actually gonna source and whatever, because I went on vacation and like biked through Europe for like a week right afterwards, so I wasn't doing any emailing. So I'm still kind of trying to catch up from kind of going on vacation.
Very cool. I actually never heard any of the people say that before where there's a huge backlog because there's tons of different people trying to get those products sourced from all the manufacturers that were there. So I could totally see a backlog in that kind of issue.
Yeah, it's kind of thing where just they're sitting there collecting business cards from people for 3 weeks straight at the Canton Fair, and so at the end of the 3 weeks, that next Monday, everyone emails them at once saying, "Hey, you talked to me. Remember, my name's Bill," and they're probably just confused as hell because they talked to so many. They probably talked to 1,000 different people, and so 100 of them email them that Monday. It's yeah, probably overwhelming.
I'm gonna jump back into the cash flow side just because you scaled your business so fast, and I'm trying to figure out uh, various techniques that I could deploy as well. Uh, so you think one of the most important things is how fast you can turn your money around and reinvest that into new product, correct?
Yeah, think of it this way. We just signed up a company that sells UFC equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and they sell this boxing glove in 5 different sizes and 5 colors, and they sell it to us for like $70, and it retails for like 150.
That's awesome.
So right there, it's like
Yeah,
25 different SKUs just to have one in stock of each color and size,
it's a
right?
huge investment up front too, no?
Yeah, and so but this is the thing is that they have like 3 day shipping.
That's it.
So it's I can buy $5,000 worth of their inventory, flip it for to $7,500 within a week. Because I'm only selling one pair of each color and size for the week. I'm not going crazy.
Do
you
you,
know
yeah.
and so from there, it's when you think of it that way, it's like then I get that $2,500 back in my pocket profit by the end of the 2 weeks when Amazon pays me, and then I can reinvest it that much faster to get that multiplier that much faster, opposed to buying a container where you get say 4 months worth of inventory and you only get to flip it 3 times a year for that same like 30% profit margin after everything. And so the container makes sense if you can do the math and see that the price cut you're going to get shipping wise and quantity wise is better than the multiplier you're going to get doing it in small shipments. But if you can, try to just reinvest that cash as fast as possible into a thing with the highest percentage possible that gives you the fastest return possible, and try to just multiply that money as fast as possible, and don't really worry about, am I staying in the pet niche or am I staying in the kitchen niche or any of those kind of goofy questions, because those aren't real like business questions. You want like actual stuff that's going to make you money. And so like, is what you're doing today making you more money than you made yesterday? And have those kind of thoughts. Don't have the kind of thoughts of like, well, maybe I want to take the kind of the brand in this direction, because that's unless you're like a brand specialist or you're an expert in the niche or something like that, then focus like 100% on the branding. But if you're just Joe Schmo like me, where it's like you have no like corporate background in like branding and like strategic marketing and all that stuff, just focus on getting the cash as fast in your pocket. I mean, cash back in your pocket as fast as possible.
That's actually all right. Let me stop you right there. It's a pretty awesome strategy. It's definitely, I think it's a new strategy that we haven't talked about it. My strategy is actually the complete opposite and exactly what you were saying, embarrassingly enough. But I actually go from the point of building the brand from ground up and uh, becoming a solid brand. And I see myself getting a lot of repeat customers and a lot of customers coming back and giving me their email addresses for discounts in the future and that kind of stuff. But yours is like the flip fast, turn it into profit, reinvest. And I actually like this strategy a lot. And
Wait,
I think it
you
would apply really well if you took that money and then into the branded item within the brand. What are,
we
go
you
ahead.
asked how to scale a business really fast. You weren't really asking how do I build a business that
Hmm.
lasts 25 years.
True.
And so your business could still be around in 25 years,
Yep.
where my business model is kind of like
It's for the money.
cash in during the gold rush right now.
The funny thing is, both models work. Yours actually might be a lot more effective. I'm not sure yet. I,
Well, this is the kind of conversation I get into with people all the time,
yep.
where I try to explain to people all the time. I can now go and tell you 7 other ways I've made money on Amazon.
Hmm.
Did all of them work? Yes. Is your way going to work? Yes. Is my way going to work? Yes. And so with these courses out there, a lot of these people kind of get in this rigid mindset that there is like one specific way how to make money on Amazon. And if you just follow the steps, you're going to make money on Amazon. Where I try to always kind of open people's horizons by saying, hey, there's this way to make money on Amazon. You also can make money doing this. You also can make money doing this. And let people know that there's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat, and that is one way better than the other? No. Is one way better than another for a specific person? 100% yes. Where if you have a different background and you say you have $2,000, but you just got done with a job where you were doing social media for a company for the last 5 years. It's like you should have a totally different strategy where yours is based off of building a brand through social media, because you don't have money to invest up front and social media is free. Where if someone else has zero experience in social media but has 200 grand, I say go buy a bunch of concrete cinder blocks and sell them for a buck more than what you bought them for, and just make cash quickly and just reinvest it. And so it's just totally different strategies for different people, and everyone has kind of like their own strategies that's perfect for them, that maximizes their competitive advantages.
One of the live viewers says when you get a customer base, the problem with that is if you get bad reviews, it's a wrap. But I'm gonna counter and say if you get good reviews, they keep coming back forever. So, I guess there's two sides to everything, or maybe like five sides to everything.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is there's just so many different approaches to selling on Amazon, and just selling in general. I like the wholesale method. The scary thing about it is, do you have any problems with like other wholesalers getting onto your listings and kind of taking out, destroying your price, I guess?
No, I kind of give the companies the business beforehand, kind of laying down the law saying, hey, here's the deal. I'm going to be the only person allowed to sell on Amazon. Send out an email saying no one else is allowed to sell on Amazon. They got 2 weeks to sell at their current inventory, and that's it. And I'm going to be the only person that's allowed to sell on Amazon. I'm going to pay you on time. I'm going to make sure everything stays in stock. You're going to have one point of contact when you have any Amazon problems. I'm the only person you have to contact. If you ever want to update the listings or put new pictures or new models out there, you only have one person you have to talk to. I'll make sure I keep your price high so all your brick and mortar accounts stay happy. That's one of the biggest things they want, is that they want their brick and mortar accounts stay happy, because that's still the majority of their sales. And so I say, keep your price high, keep your brick and mortar stores happy.
Yep.
And the second that you let someone else sell on Amazon, then it's just going to turn into a race to the bottom price wise. And at that point, we're going to ruin your business. All your brick and mortar stores are going to be mad at you. The other Amazon sellers are going to be mad at you. I'm going to be mad at you. And your whole business, everyone's going to be mad at you, and you don't win on any front. And so just basically, if you keep your end of the agreement up, I'll keep my end of the agreement up, and everyone's happy.
I think one thing that I just kind of realized, got a good insight on, is with wholesale, especially with Amazon, you actually know the people that are wholesaling those items, because all you have to do is go ask the person who you sourced it from, correct?
Meaning, what do you mean by that?
So like you're wholesaling from the manufacturer of their product, and then if you see someone jump on your listing, they probably wholesaled it as well from that same manufacturer. So you can just go ask that manufacturer.
Oh yeah. It's super easy.
So it's like a smaller world, yeah.
Exactly, it's super easy to track down what it is. Go to Bob Tire Supply is now selling on the listing too, and I call up my vendor and go, hey, what are you doing with Bob's Tire Supply? And it's like, oh, they told me they weren't going to sell on Amazon. And it's like, well, they're selling on Amazon now. And it's like, okay, we'll send them an email. And then Bob's Tire Supply like disappears the next day, and it's like, okay. It's not like it's pretty simple stuff to figure out for the most part. And then two, I get to a point where with this UFC brand of stuff I'm selling.
Yep.
I was just talking about their one style of boxing glove. Now, they have a bunch of different pairs of shorts, shin pads, UFC gloves, other types of boxing gloves. And so one of the things is that I keep all of their stuff in stock. And so not only does that make it so my sales revenue is that much higher, because it's a lot easier to sell 1,000 things once a day than one thing 1,000 times a day, But on top of that, since I'm ordering so much from them, if these companies do say $10 million a year in revenue and I order 10 grand worth of stuff my first order, I'm already 1% of their whole entire revenue for the year. And so I'm already someone to listen to. And so if it does come down to Bob's Tire Supply or me and they have to choose sides, they're going to say, sorry, Bob's Tire Supply, I'm not going to sell to you anymore because this guy has only placed one order and he's already 1% of our sales. And his next order looks like it's going to be double the size because he's trying to keep everything in stock. This guy's doing great, adding great value to our business. You're not adding value to our business. We're going to side with Will. And so more times than not, I can win out in those kind of competitions.
That's interesting. I found a downside to your side of the business. Just not trying to neg you, but
Oh no, go ahead.
the difference between building a brand and just selling products that sell is there's a double-edged sword to doing it, because you're also increasing brand value, which can potentially be acquired one day. And I actually had someone try to acquire me already, and it just fell through. I think if you guys looked at the earlier podcast, you can kind of hear about it, but
Well, my brother and I, we both have sold private label brands we've created.
oh, that's awesome.
So we do have some store stuff that's equitable.
Can you?
But for the most part, it's we can't sell our relationships and contracts that we have with companies. No, 100%.
Can you go a
But
little?
at the same
go
time,
ahead.
it's that we don't take any risk in marketing or liability since they do all that. So.
Can you go a little bit into your private label brands that got acquired?
Yeah, my brother recently sold a 10-year-old private label ping pong brand, ping pong paddles and accessories. And it's sold them through the empireflippers.com. They basically buy it for anywhere between 20 and 25 times net monthly income. And so it's, for me and my brother, it just gets to a point with some of our products where it's these ping pong paddles are making me $4,000 a month profit, but I just don't want to deal with them anymore. I'm kind of focused on this other stuff, and they're just kind of becoming kind of a nuisance in the background. And it's well, there's nothing wrong with them technically, and if someone's willing to buy that brand for $95,000, yeah, an extra $95K in my pocket is pretty nice. And so it's anytime I see that a brand that it's any private label stuff that all the time that I have that's profitable, but I just don't feel like reordering because it's not crazy profitable or there's not that much room for growth. It's instead of just not reordering it, I might as well sell the brand off and get a quick 50 to 100K in my pocket.
No, that's true. That's awesome. So I guess Empire Flippers worked for you pretty well.
Yeah, they're super easy to work with. They'll work as fast as you're willing to work. They got people working around the clock. So it's you'll email them saying, hey, I want to sell my brand. You're going to email them in a couple hours saying hey, you want to send us your financials? You send over the financials. They'll probably email you back in a couple hours later saying hey, can we set up a Skype meeting to get your listing set up and get this put up on our website? And my one website I sold to them recently sold within 7 hours. So it's they said, from what I've talked to them, they said there's more people trying to buy Amazon businesses than the people trying to sell them. So it's a good time to sell them.
It's true.
And two, think of it this way. It's not that hard to get a product up to $3,000 profit a month. It's not the end of the world. And so if you could do that and do it for 6 months, twice a year, that would be making you profit of $36,000. Plus, you could sell those brands for $60K each. And so right there, you're making $120K plus the $36K. So you're making $156K profit a year. To do that normally with, say, a 25% margin, you'd have to sell $600K that year. But instead, you only sold a fraction of that and made the same amount of money because you just built 2 brands and sold 2 brands that year, opposed to trying to build this huge mega brand and where you didn't really ever get to pay yourself since you constantly had to reinvest. Does that make sense?
I'm going for the mega brand. I'm kind of fixed on it, actually. I do agree with you, though. It'd be nice to have a little diversification and be able to just grab 150K and put it back into another business or create another one.
Yeah, it's just nice to have, like, if you can just create a brand and sell it once a year even. It's just nice to have that cash influx of 60K to be like, okay, I know all my bills and rent are paid for the year. Now I can just focus on my business.
One of my competitors actually, just to switch it around, um, their brand actually just got acquired. It was in the news and everything, but it was like a $200 million sale. So, and I think their business was only 5 years old. So, you could go for the big brand sellout, or just continue at like that massive scale. And it's kind of like the what I'm trying to do. But it'd be nice to. Okay, one of the things I had a question about. You said you had 4 accounts. Is it easy to just create and set up different accounts the way you've been doing it with Amazon? I know they have a lot of policies around that.
Yeah, what they don't want you to do is basically sell the same products on different accounts. And so as long as you don't do that, they're okay with it. Where it's like they're different businesses, they have different EIN numbers, they have different locations, they have different emails hooked up to them, they have different owners of them, and so they like legitimately are different businesses. So it's like I'm not doing anything like shady or weird. And two, I've heard of people who even contacted Amazon and said, "Hey, we want another Amazon seller account, but we want to use the same EIN from our previous LLC that we opened up our other Amazon account with. Can we do that?" And they just spent 45 minutes on the phone with Amazon, and Amazon eventually set it up so they could. So it's like it's one of these things. People love scaring Amazon sellers. People love making stuff up and saying Amazon's going to ban you for this, Amazon's going to ban you for that, but they're not going to. We recently had an Amazon account we set up. This is like 3 months ago. Set up an Amazon account for one of our new LLCs, and we forgot that we set all of the listings for merchant fulfilled and Amazon fulfilled. And after like a week and a half, we looked at our account and saw that we had our first 8 orders were merchant fulfilled, and we hadn't shipped them yet. And we canceled all the orders, and Amazon didn't do anything to our account. And so it's like we did absolutely like the worst thing we could have possibly done to start off an account, and Amazon was still fine with us. So it's like if that's not going to kick you off, I don't know what is.
You guys have so many accounts, you don't look at your orders.
Funny. It's one of those things where it's like I'm totally over the micromanaging of like check the sales stats, check what got ordered, check this, check that, like check the emails, check the PPC. Like I don't need to check that stuff every day. It doesn't change that much.
What you just said, it's interesting because one of the software programs I have allows you to add multiple accounts, Amazon accounts into it, and I thought it was like not a big feature. I was like, dude, how many people could use this feature? But I could see it being very useful, especially for you, like seeing how much income's coming in and all the different metrics that are there.
Well, and the thing is too, I have like business partners for all of my accounts too. And so it's like I always have someone to fall back on, where it's like none of these Amazon accounts I'm running just solely by myself, because then I would have to check it daily to make sure nothing stupid happened. But when you have always someone else there running your business with you, then make sure that you basically always have someone watching your back.
Can we talk more about your business partners? How have you set that up?
Like percentages wise, or what do you mean?
I guess all of it. How have you split it with them? How do you manage the different tasks between them, and how's that working for you?
So basically, there's like I have like my own LLC for like my consulting I do. And then I also have.
What's your consulting business, by the way?
It's not really it's just me.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like when companies or people just want to do like a 1-hour phone call with me or something like that, they'll just do pay me through like my own personal LLC. Okay. And then 2, I have one for me and my best friend, who I got to quit his job like a year and a half ago to do Amazon stuff with me, and he had saved up like a ton of cash, like a ton of cash throughout his life. And so it was kind of perfect thing where like he had a bunch of cash to bring to the table.
How old is he?
For like, he's my age.
You're 25, right?
25, yeah.
How much cash could you save up by 25?
Like 6 figures.
Oh wow! Holy cow!
Yeah, like just working all the time, all through high school,
Yeah,
16, 17, 18, 19. Also investing all of every dollar you have into Apple.
nice.
And so
Doesn't
yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
It, so like they kind of compounded on itself. But anyways,
Cool.
from there, it's like he was perfect because he's a hard worker, he's smart, and he has a ton of cash to bring. So it's like we need cash. I need someone who can learn quickly, and I love to have someone from an outside point of view. So me and him started an Amazon account together. I also have an Amazon account with my brother, and then we also have an Amazon account between my brother, me, and my business partner slash best friend. And it's basically off of the reason why these guys are my partners is because they have cash, they understand how Amazon works, I can trust them. They also, it's like with all of us, we've all known each other for like over decades kind of
Hmm.
thing. So it's like we know there's like a no BS zone, which is huge.
Yep.
Communication super easy. When my brother says, "Hey, this needs to be done," it's like it's not. There's zero questions asked. It's just done then. It's like I go get it done and then tell him, "Hey, it's done." There's no like, "Well, I don't want to today," or like, "I don't feel like it," or "Yeah, but maybe I'll finish that tomorrow." It's like if he's telling me something needs to be done, it obviously needs to be done. It's not. There's no like debate. And if I tell my brother something needs to be done, there's no like ego involved. It's like, oh yeah, it's because it actually needs to be done, and you're the only person who can do it. And so it's this no BS zone really kind of helps us grow our business and communicate efficiently.
That makes sense. I have business partners in a few various businesses that I run, so it's always interesting to hear different strategies around managing and not just managing, but like working and getting along and making sure everyone puts in their equal effort because businesses they tend to flop a lot. So if everyone's not putting in their 100% and there's like that synergy is not happening, you get owned like pretty bad. And I've actually had one business that failed specifically because of that. Won't talk about it, but that's awesome. It looks like you also uh, like which one happened first? Because I know you were working with your brother, and then you added your best friend into the mix too, uh, with one of your Amazon accounts. So was that after it was going well with the business that you had specifically with your best friend?
Well, no, the big one we started with me and my brother, and then but yeah, then that was going well, and then I started one with me and my friend right after that. Like while I still had that one going.
Okay, cool, awesome. And then, do you see any accounts? I mean, I get how's the one with your brother versus the one with your best friend?
It's like
They're not gonna listen to this, right?
oh no, they can. Well, it's this kind of thing
uh,
I can. Like I have completely open communication with them, so I can go tell them they both suck or whatever. It doesn't matter. Um, they basically the one with my brother is way bigger, but it's transitioning more to selling to Amazon instead of selling on Amazon. The one I have with my best friend is one where we're basically kind of just like selling off the private label brands. It's we're using that basically to launch private label brands of random stuff. And then the one we have between the three of us is kind of just like random wholesale accounts that since I've put my face out there in enough like articles and podcasts and crap, companies now come to me and contact me saying, "Hey, I want you to be the person to put our product on Amazon."
that's
And so
awesome.
like
Yeah.
that Amazon account I have between the three of them.
How many products have you gotten from companies reaching out to you to list and to work to manage?
I have no idea, honestly.
Is it in
Because
the
there's some of them
tens or
that's
hundreds?
like that UFC company came to me and it's like I don't know, they have like
Oh, I see.
700
Very
SKUs or
cool.
something like that.
That's awesome.
So it's like if you just start going on SKU count, it gets crazy.
All right, so that's a new AMZ secret. If you go on the podcast, you'll get a lot of people, businesses, to ask you to manage. Not specifically mine, actually. He went on to other podcasts, and and businesses have reached out to him. That's cool.
Yeah.
But that you
Here's
also have to be extremely successful. So just
Well, I was about to say, yeah, here's an AMZ secret. If you put yourself out there, things happen.
yeah.
If you hide in a corner, no one finds you. It's pretty simple. So yeah, it's like you gotta kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince. And so you gotta keep just kind of like I have plenty of people who contact me who just like have complete junk products and want me to sell them on Amazon. And so the good comes with the bad.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta stay away from the junk one. That could get you suspended too. Selling a new product, but it's actually used for that. But maybe
Oh
that,
yeah,
yep,
that's
that's a
no,
big one.
yeah, that's something that again like would probably never happen to me. I don't think that that's. I'm not
Ev-
worried about that. I'm more worried about like someone dying because the person didn't get the right like electronic certifications or something.
I find one of the reason why I don't really do that strategy of taking other people's products and listing them is I find that my time is like the biggest asset that I have, in the sense that every single hour that I put toward my business, it's a huge multiplier that comes right back. Versus, um, I have a feeling the margins aren't as high with brands that you bring on to your listings.
That's not necessarily true.
Okay.
Um, because they have these crazy high minimum advertised pricings and MSRPs that they want you to keep it high. And so if you get into like a competition with people and you're competing for the buy box, then yeah, the margin's crappy because everyone beats the margin down. But if you can have it by yourself, there's a lot of different products where it's like I buy them for 40 and then have to sell them for 99.99. And so it's like I get like a healthy like 35, 37 bucks in margin off of that product. And for the time thing, I personally think private labeling takes a lot more time than
Mm-hmm.
dealing with a US distributor, because I'll sit there and place a couple phone calls, and after 2 hours of phone calls, I will have a distributor who will now make me 30 grand a year profit for the next 4 years. And so it's like I made 120 grand in 2 hours of work, and I don't have to do any R&D. I don't have to do any product development. I don't have to do any packaging. I don't have to do any logistics. I don't have to do any quality assurance or anything like that. I know that I can just basically call them up and say, hey, put 20 units of these 10 products on my credit card and have them at my doorstep in 3 days. And they're
That's
just going to
epic.
show
Yeah.
up, and it's like there's no BS, no time, anything like that. And it's nice. Obviously, the private label is nice because you have the freedom. You can do whatever you want packaging wise, and you can price it however you want. But as if you think, I really don't agree with the concept that private labeling takes less time than wholesaling.
Oh, it definitely takes a lot more. I think it takes a lot more work, but I think the reward is a lot higher at the end. But you definitely announced or said it an AMZ secret right there. I'm not sure how to word it, but I think it's all in the process in which you churn money over. Yours is a simple phone call for about 2 hours, and you can get tons of products at your doorstep within 3 days. Private label, you get the products after like 3 months to your doorstep, because there's all the labels, the products being created, the design, the development, and then the shipping process. Depending on if you do air or sea, it takes a while. They both take a while, kind of. Sometimes air takes 5 days, and then all the logistics around that takes a long time. If you're going to a manufacturer in the U.S., you're going to be using UPS, and it goes by ground probably, and it gets to your doorstep pretty quick. So that's pretty. I guess that's how you word it as a secret. I don't even know how. So it's 2016 now. Where do you see your business moving?
I'm just doing this more and more, contacting more companies, selling more to Amazon with these companies that we do contact. Basically, kind of just doing the same old for the next 3 to 5 years until I think Amazon's going to start selling stuff more and more and making it harder and harder to sell on Amazon. And from there, it's just kind of just rolling with the punches, just trying to stay ahead of the curve and seeing where Amazon's going next so I can have my business in place to be there already waiting.
I think that's a smart point. That it's kind of more of a reactionary, in anticipation of what Amazon does versus just doing your own thing. Because it can change overnight. They keep, I mean, if you ever look at the Amazon Seller Central newsfeed, it's just different things are changing. Box packaging is mandatory. There's some type of change that they just did. Was it the box instruction labels, or within the shipping center, has to be done, or they charge like 12 cents a unit. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
a
just
thing
like,
where
but like, just like things like that, it compounds over years. So 5 years, you get like 50 different changes.
no, it's the worst when I'm doing consulting and I'm trying to show someone how to do something and then the button moved.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm like, oh no, like now I look like an idiot. Like I'm okay. Where do they put it? Where do they put it? Where do they put it? And so yeah, it's kind of thing. It's just like we you mentioned before the call and stuff, or during the call, that you're into like coding and that kind of thing and like programming, and it's the same kind of thing where like if you even take like a year off, you're gonna have no idea what's going on a year later, type of thing. You have to stay on top of it, or else you're gonna fall behind.
Yep. I mean, I think just today, Amazon changed the gradient on the top header bar. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, it looks cleaner. It's actually kind of cool. I was wondering when they were going to do it because the interface was looking like 98 a little bit in the back end of Seller Central. Like,
Yeah, I'm usually looking in like software's back end, not even the Amazon Seller Central that often. So
oh, very
it's
cool.
always looks kind of different to me every time I sign in.
We got about 11 minutes left. I'm gonna pivot over to eBay because I know you sell pretty, like maybe like 1/6 of the sales that you do on Amazon, which is
Well,
pretty good.
we quit selling on eBay.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because they're annoying. It's annoying dealing with the customers are the worst on eBay. It's the basically like they're always like warning to suspend our account. It just not worth our time. We were spending just as much time on eBay as we were on Amazon, and at that point when we're doing way more on Amazon, it's like kind of the 80-20 rule. Let's just focus on what works.
Just for everybody listening, I think I read that you were pulling over 1 million on eBay. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty significant to just drop. No.
Significant to drop, but again, we were making since we had to fulfill everything from Amazon.
Yep. It costs a lot to ship
And
out.
then
Yeah.
plus on top of that, we're paying the eBay fees.
Sure.
On top of that, like the customers are a pain in the ass, and so it's like $1 million in sales, but that was probably what we spent the majority of our time on and made our least margin on.
Right.
And so it's kind of thing where it's like it looks cool for like vanity metrics, but when you really come down to it, how much dollars we're making per day actually in our pocket for how much time we're spending, it's not really worth it actually.
I'm not sure if you're using it, but nowadays, right now I'm auto fulfilling from Amazon to eBay whenever orders get purchased. Okay.
Or not, yeah.
So was it the customer support that took very long?
Yeah, well, it's like still people will, even if you just send it automatically from Amazon, they'll still send you 4 messages saying, where are my tracking codes? And they'll send you, even though you sent it to them, and then they'll still send one saying like, hey, like, have you sent it yet? Have you sent it yet? Even though it gets there in like 4 days. And so it's like that compounding on whatever, how many purchases we were doing a day type of thing.
Sure.
It's like you check it over the weekend and we have 400 messages.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh crap, well, some of these might actually be important, so you have to look through them all anyways. On top of that, it's like, 5 of the eBay people want to do a return. Well, with Amazon, the returns are a breeze. I don't have to do anything. Amazon handles it.
Yeah.
But with eBay, it's like I have to handle it then. And then like all that stuff kind of compounds, and then on a daily basis, it's like, wow, this eBay thing is kind of a monster, and it doesn't actually make us that much money.
My strategy for that is I just refund them. I don't even ask for the money back or the product back. Just too much. It's like a hassle.
Our products were like average ticket price around like $130, $150 a lot of times.
Okay, so yeah,
so
you want it
like,
back. Yeah.
You can't just say like, just don't return it, because then it's like, well, yeah, I'm losing $150. That's like when your margin might be only 15%. If you lose a few units right there, you have no margin anymore.
You gotta get rid of those products then.
Yeah, well, that's a majority of what we sell. It's like over $100.
Yeah, I like that 80-20 rule. Stick by it. And so products that stop delivering the money back to me or don't upsell to my customers if it doesn't do either of the or. So like if it doesn't make me more than 30% margin, or if it doesn't upsell to another product, I get rid of it. And I haven't gotten rid of anything yet just because they all fit those requirements beforehand. So we got probably like 5 minutes left. Is there anything you want to say before we cut off?
Nothing I really want to say besides, you guys can find me on Twitter, Facebook, email me. My email is my name, williamtjernlund@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions or if you guys think of anything to ask 20 minutes from now, it pops in your head or whatever, feel free to ask away.
Okay, I'll put those in the show notes. Anybody in the live interview in Periscope want to ask a question before he gets off? One of the people asked earlier, Is shipping to FBA always the best idea?
What it just is using FBA always the best idea?
Yep.
Well, unless you're doing drop shipping, then obviously you're not doing FBA. But or if you're like testing out a bunch of products via drop shipping or something like that, FBA might not be best. But for the most part, it's gonna be the least hassle, and a lot of times it's the cheapest. Unless you got like really really small things, then USPS will be cheaper for you to ship individually yourself. But for the most part, Amazon's gonna be the cheapest shipping wise, and they'll handle all the fulfillment, customer service, and people usually only buy stuff if it's Prime. So like all those things on top of each other, 99% of the time, FBA makes sense over FBM.
I heard they have fulfillment by merchant with Prime now. If you can, I don't know if you heard of that. Have you?
No, yeah, it's selling through Amazon. You get basically offered everything first. So they don't even have just that. They have it too, where like there's things saying that they're shipped and sold by Amazon, and my brother is shipping them out for them from his warehouse as like he's working as like a mini fulfillment center for them, and they call it like drop ship by Amazon. And you drop ship stuff for Amazon, and so like Amazon sends stuff to his warehouse for him to warehouse
That's epic.
momentarily. Yeah, so it's like there's all sorts
What's
of stuff
that?
where they're trying to like buy your containers before they leave the port in China, so then they can just have it control it the whole entire way and stuff like that. There's all sorts of stuff Amazon's working on and like offering through like beta programs.
What is the profit that he's doing from Amazon sending inventory for? I feel like there's an entire industry about to open up, or already has, by him doing that.
Oh yeah. There's stuff like that. There's stuff like because you got to think of like we're semi-strategic where we're located is Minnesota, where the closest fulfillment center they're building one right now near us, but the closest fulfillment centers are in like Wisconsin, Chicago, and like Indiana. And so if someone wants something in like North Dakota or northern Minnesota or South Dakota or Iowa, and they need it 2 day shipping, their closest place is like Indiana. And so it makes sense for them, instead of having to build a bunch of warehouses in these like low populated areas of the United States, they just find their best top sellers because they know they must have warehouse space and just rent out a little corner of it.
I didn't even think about that. What's your guys' square footage at your warehouse?
Not much. I have no idea, honestly. Trying to think like 100 feet by 50 feet.
Oh, that's not much at all.
Yeah, like
I thought it was you guys had like a 5,000 square foot warehouse or something.
I don't know. You can multiply that out. It might be 5,000.
Oh, okay. Maybe I just heard you wrong.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. I don't know. I don't have a warehouse yet.
He doesn't have a ton. It's usually like pretty full when you unload a container.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I appreciate you for coming on the show. We'll put his email and all his contact information, including Facebook and Twitter, in the show notes. And anybody that wants to contact him can. Also, anybody that we're going to give you lifetime VIP for coming on the show for AMZ Secrets. So we do appreciate your time and all the input that you gave and all the strategies that you gave us today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.